Hello, everyone, and welcome to Business Blabbing with the Besties. I'm one half of the awesome bestie duo, Famira, the Diamond Diva, your visual impactologist, and I am here with my co-host and business BFF, M.E. Portov.
It's always funny when you, yes, that's right, down here. Good afternoon, everyone. I am M.E. Porter, the Soul Shifter, your SOULutions Sage, with just a little bit of marketing magic sprinkled on the top. And I am actually traveling today. So I pulled off of 85 North, popped into the Starbucks. But when you guys see who our guest is today, it's going to be totally appropriate that I'm traveling.
Whoa. Oh.
Yes, we are here with the nomad himself.
Yes.
So, I'm excited. So I'm excited for our guest today. We have, of course, Mr. Rockson with us, and I'm going to tell you all a little bit about him before we jump in, but I have to share this piece of the story on why this is like so extra special to me, because when I first decided, I'm going to check out this blab thing and see what's going on with it, your blab is the very first one that I got on to check out and see what was going on. And so now to come full circle and have my own blab show and you to be the first guest that we're actually interviewing on the show is like so awesome to me. So I'm excited about that. So I thank you for being here with us today.
No, thank you. The pleasure is mine. Thank you for all your support. And I'm honored. It's a pleasure to meet you, M.E. Porter, and the other half of the show. And I'm glad, I was saying earlier that, this is the first time we're seeing each other on the lab. So it's definitely good to put a face to the
Yes, because I'm usually hanging over in the chat. That box is not being on the screen, but I'm trying to change that this year. So, So that's why we're doing this show and a couple of other things. So I'm excited that you're on. But let a couple people know who you are, just in case they've been hidden under a rock, or they're not familiar with Blab and know who you are.
They're square. They don't know.
Right. He is the CEO and president of UYD Media, a media company that encourages people all over the world to use their difference to make a difference while celebrating diversity and educating others. He is an avid writer whose work can be seen on the Huffington Post, Among Worlds magazine, as well as Global Living magazine. He is an authority on third culture kids and assimilation into new cultures. He is the author of The Ultimate Guide to TK Living, and through his podcast and blog, he is heard and read by thousands of people in over 100 countries.
Wow.
So now you can kind of see why we were like, the fact that on the road and traveling kind of fits with who we have on the show today.
Yes.
I'm just excited. So I'm gonna let M.E. talk because I'm just like
I have this very eccentric business bestie who, anytime she brings someone to my attention, I know that they're gonna be like super fabulous, off the wall, and they're gonna be doing something in the world that nobody else is doing. And so I know that one of her grandest desires is to be location independent. And so I was really excited when she told me that we were going to have you on the show. And of course, I went and did a little research, and I'm like, okay, this brother is living the life that most of us dream of, who don't have like 4 kids and houses to clean and grocery to do. You know what I'm saying? It's like you are like the dream. So I'm super excited. I'm super excited to meet you. I'm super excited to have you here. And I can't wait to hear how this nomadic lifestyle is changing the world through you.
Well, I mean, it's an honor. It's it's really started because my dad, he's a diplomat. I'm from Nigeria. We're all Nigerian, and we didn't have a choice. Growing up, we would always move. Every 4 to 8 years, we were moving. So I ended up growing up in 5 different countries and 4 different continents, and out of that, I had a mindset that was different than typically just a Nigerian or typically just a particular a set of people. So I just started realizing early on that I identified with several cultures, after going through the back and forth between whether you're Nigerian enough, you're this enough, you're that enough, I just decided to embrace the global mindset, and then I started to sort of focus more on the positives of that, because sometimes when you keep moving, it can tend to be a little depressing because you're always moving, you're making new friends. But so once I started focusing on the good aspects of it, I kind of wanted to share that with the world, because I think that's the best way to build global leaders today.
So it looks like M.E dipped out. We might have lost her for a moment, but she'll come back when she gets situated. That's part of being traveling and being on location and not being at home with your own stuff. Things can happen. But one of the things we wanted to talk with you about is for you to kind of tell us, what do you feel as though is your unique gift that you're bringing to the world? So, through your media company and all of that, you're definitely doing media different, than the traditional sense of what media is about. And so, how is that in line with what you feel your own unique gifts are?
Well, I feel like my unique gifts lie in helping people communicate across cultures, right? And with my media company, I'm trying to tell the stories that no one talks about. When I started, it started with my podcast, As Told by Nomads. I was sitting at in a Huffington event, and she's Greek American, and she was, she made a comment about how at one point she wanted to change her accent because she felt it would make her fit in more, and she was joking about it, but I immediately identified with that because, many times growing up, always in different countries, I felt like maybe I needed to change my accent to sort of fit in. And I just sat there thinking to myself, if there was any platform out there that really spoke to people that look like they're not supposed to sound and sound like they're not supposed to look. And, and there weren't. So I just said I was going to launch a podcast that sort of talked about these issues and then use these issues to talk about how to be better businessmen, better business ladies, better entrepreneurs. It started. I was getting my MBA at Fordham here in New York City, and I started doing a podcast whenever I could. It took on a life of its own because I started getting emails from people saying, I didn't know that there was something out there that I could relate to. That story really touched me. That interview really got to me, and then it sort of opened this light bulb moment in my head where I said, well, why don't I just open up the platform for other people to share their stories, and that's where the mission statement came out of. Use your difference to make a difference is what I say, and that's what it is. I think we're over 7 billion people. I think the way the world is, I think we live in a global world, and we live in a globalized world and a digitalized world, but we don't act global or digital. And I really wanted to bridge that divide because I was looking at the landscape. I was getting frustrated, and I was thinking, I'm a millennial. What's going to happen when it's my turn to lead? Am I going to make the same mistake as previous generations? And to me, it became clear that in order to not make those mistakes, we really have to educate our generation and everyone what it truly is like to communicate across cultures. That is our landscape today. So, so I just focus on education, focus on highlighting the people that are not being highlighted, and just making sure everybody really has an idea of what a true global environment is.
Phenomenal. Awesome. Can you guys see me? Phenomenal. My screen, I'm frozen.
Thank you.
You're frozen on my screen, Emmy, but I can hear you.
Okay, as long as you can hear me. Okay, as long as you can hear me, that's cool.
I can hear you.
First of all, I am I'm like a words girl. I love words, and I think that you use such few words to put that mission statement together, right? But it's so totally the bomb. It's you know what I'm saying? Use your difference to make a difference. That's it's so over the top and it's deep in so many ways that I'm I don't even know if people really get it. So when you show up on the scene and that's your mission statement, are people kind of looking okay, what's really about to happen here? They're really not sure what's going to come from that mission statement.
You know, it's funny that you asked that because when I initially created that statement, I was listening to a song. You know, it was Nico and Vince called "Am I Wrong?" You know, it was by these black Norwegian people. You know, and when you think Norway,
Right.
you think, you know, blonde, blue eyes, and yeah. So you know they're one of them is from Ivory, his parents from Ivory Coast, the other's from Ghana. But I was like, you know, on first glance, you not know they're Norwegian. You hear them talking in the music, and you just think, no, it's, you know, black people, African Americans. So I did some research. I saw that, you know, I heard how they sounded, and I was really dissecting the lyrics to talk about what it is to not stand outside the box. You know, the lyrics says, "Am I wrong?" You know, for stepping outside the box, and I really identify with that because a lot of people, I feel like, want you to go through a certain formula. So I ended the paragraph or the blog post with, you know, I think we all need to learn how to use our differences to make a difference. And once I started doing that, everybody started, you know, sending me messages like, you know, I really relate to that. You know, my difference is this, my difference is that. And I saw the power of that because at the core of who we all are individuals. And, you know, the only versions that we need to focus on is being the best versions of ourselves. So when I come on stage and I say that, it resonates with people in different ways. You know, some people have come and told me, like, you know, my difference is a woman, my difference is a black person, my difference is an Asian, my difference is someone is disabled. You know, my difference is you know, the only man here, and it's become such this empowering thing where people feel like you can take ownership of what's unique about them, and they don't have to feel embarrassed about that. You know. So it's you know, it's really up to the person, up for interpretation. For me, was being a third culture kid. Third culture kid is anyone that spent the formative periods of their lives outside their parents' cultures. So you find this with army brats, missionary kids, diplomatic kids like me, because you're always moving. But you say TCK for short. So I was just basically saying, you know, this idea of me not being full Nigerian or full American or full this was something I was frustrated with. So I just took ownership of myself being a TCK or a global citizen, and, you know, I'm different, but it's okay. And me being different is, you know, is what I want to use to make a difference. So, kind of want to champion that individuality and not thinking that you have to be like someone else to be.
That is phenomenal. Well, I raised some third culture kids, as you refer to you guys as. I raised 3 military children, and so 3 military children, and we were moving like every 2.5 years. And so I made one promise to them. And the promise was that everybody would get to go to high school wherever we lived when they were in the 9th grade. So for those 4 years, we would not move, even if my husband got stationed somewhere else. Everybody gets to graduate with the people that they started with. That was the only thing. So I think it's really cool. I have never heard that terminology, but the next time I say something, I'm gonna say, you little third culture kid.
Yeah, you know, you bring it back. You know, it's funny. The term was championed in the 50s, but I've been using it so much now that people have started to like say, "Oh, wow, that's what Italians always talking about." And I'm always like, "It is not my term," but you know, it's other people there. But it's great that it's coming back because I actually found it in a BuzzFeed article. You know, it was like 31 signs you're a third culture kid, something like that, and they did all these memes and gifs, and it was like, you know, you think in 5 different time zones.
That's
people ask you where home is, and that's the worst question. You know, yeah, you know, I was like, that is me. You know, I didn't even know that was a word for this. Yeah. So that's me. So I just basically used that.
It's awesome. I love it. I love it. My daughter, when she went into the military, she was like, Mom, when they asked, like, where are you from? She's like, I really don't know what to put. She goes, so I'm just going to put the last place I lived.
That is so true. That is so true. But that's what happened.
And what's so hilarious about that is I'm the total opposite. Like, where I was born was where I was raised. I lived there my entire life until I was 27. And then I finally moved and went somewhere else. And now I'm like, I do not want to sit still for nothing. Like, I want to travel. I don't not, you know, so my kids will probably end up being third culture kids because I'm like,
yeah.
I want to do it.
Yeah.
So it's just funny how all that works. But the fact that you were talking about the whole global citizen, I think is very important, because I think a lot of times people think that in order to be considered or think of themselves as a global citizen, that they have to be constantly traveling or that they have to constantly be moving. And so, but it's really not that. It's just about having the global mindset to know that whatever you're doing, where you're at, it doesn't just affect your block. You know, it does end up having effects outside of that, the ripple effect, because somebody is leaving that neighborhood, you know. And so I like the fact that you brought that up, because that is definitely something that I have recently been doing a lot of conversation around, even in my posts and, you know, in my group that I created for women entrepreneurs called GREW, which is Global Rebels Entrepreneurial Women, is what GREW stands for. And that's what it's all about, is about having that global mindset. And so with that, do you feel like that's something that more millennials are gravitating to, the whole, you know, understanding the fact that they're global citizens, as opposed to, you know, some of the older generations? Or do you see a lot of people overall, over all age spectrums, really kind of gravitating to the idea of global citizenship?
Well, I think as a whole, millennials are the most diverse generation. So inevitably, you have a lot of diversity there. But I like what you said earlier. You know, for me, diversity is not just like, you know, the skin of the color or the race or all that. That's one part of it. But I think at the core of what I'm trying to do is also provide or promote diversity in thought, you know, diversity in mindset, like you said. And I think once you have that diversity mindset, things start to leak into like Hollywood and TV, because then you're going to accidentally put like a black person on screen or the disabled person or this other person, because you're like, oh, it's just my thinking pattern. I didn't see that you were doing that type of thing. And it's accident. You're not going to have like an Oscar situation where it's, you know, just particularly just one. You're going to think, oh, it just sort of happened because I was just opening my mind up to certain things. So to answer your question with the generational things, I think there's still room for growth. I mean, you know, we're in the midst of a presidential election where one of the leading candidates is talking about putting up a wall to separate a whole group of people. I mean, it's not. I don't think, no matter where you stand on politics, I don't think there's ever a solution to anything. You know, you could be conservative, liberal. I just think there are other ways to solve problems when it comes to dealing with people from different parts of the world. So, you know, I always think there's room for growth. I think the more we focus on ways to effectively communicate across cultures, then we will we'll have better leadership across the globe. And that's kind of what fuels me every day. And I don't think we're nearly where we need to be as a whole.
Well, let's talk a little bit about this nomadic lifestyle. I mean, I'm just really curious, because for me, as an ex-military wife, I'm no longer my spouse. I'm no longer married to a military spouse, but I know for me, because I'm used to, I was always forced to move around so much. Do you find yourself, is it hard for you to stay in one place for a period of time? Because I know for me, one of the huge reasons why I'm so glad for the digital age is because you really can run your business from anywhere. You know, you could be like anywhere in the world, and as long as you can grab a Wi-Fi signal, you can run your business. And so I'm super, super, super grateful for that. So for you, is it difficult for you to find yourself staying in one location, or are you the guy with the Wi-Fi stick trotting around the globe, running your business from all four corners of the earth?
Well, I mean, I've become what's happened is I've become adaptable. You know, so when I first graduated, first of all, New York City is my first intention to move. When I first graduated, I used to live in Virginia, and I was in a small college town. And, you know, I started getting that itch, that restlessness. I felt like it was too sleepy at the time, and I wanted a new adventure. That's what brought me to New York City. And the reason New York City attracted me was because it's New York City and it's international. You get out of the city, you hear Spanish, you hear French, you hear this, and you're like, oh, you know, that sort of felt home to me. So in a way, I'm not traveling as much, but I'm in an area that's international, and that sort of feels familiar. with the fact that I can go to a different block and meet a different set of people. So I think that's how I've reconciled that. But the other point that you brought up is the fact that it's digital. I mean, I have two podcasts, and a lot of my recordings are with people from different parts of the world, but it's Skype conversations we have, right? All I do is click on my button and Skype, and then I'm talking to Thailand, I'm talking to China, I'm talking to this, and we're running, the business from there. And whether it's writers on UYD Media, they're sending me stuff in different time zones. So I think, the point I was making earlier, when I feel like we don't tap into the truly globalized and digitalized world that we live in today, is that you can really be global if you set up your business in such a way where you're interacting with the people you want to interact, and you're not using location as a barrier. Instead, you're using digital platforms as a bridge. Right. So that's how I've sort of set up the business. It's where I use digital mediums as the bridge for me to connect. And when I travel to speak at conferences or stuff like that, it's obviously that's traveling, but I'm still able to talk to people from different parts of the world. People can listen to podcasts now on their iPhones in different parts of the world. So it's I've reconciled that difference by living in an international city and understanding that through my digital platforms, I can still reach people in different parts.
Awesome.
That's really cool. So I know a lot of times, for me, I didn't even realize that. I just knew that I always wanted to travel, right? But I didn't never know that there was like a terminology to it, or even a whole culture of people that were doing that. And so when I first got on your first blab, I was like, oh my God, this is exactly what I've been thinking in my mind that I wanted to do, but didn't really know like how to do it, what should I do, or anything like that. So what I would ask you, for people that are like I was, because now, I feel like I'm kind of part of the in crowd, even though I haven't actually started my travels just yet, but I will be starting some of them this year. What would be like your must do for a newbie that's really looking to break into this nomadic lifestyle, to get them prepared to actually live it and do it?
Well, first thing I always say is just to start, because I've talked to a lot of people that want to travel, and they've been talking like that for 5 years. So the first thing I always tell them is to start. Get the passport. Start with if it's the nearest country near you. Start. So here you could go to Mexico. You could go to Canada up north. You go to another place. You could go to another place that speaks English, that's familiar, like England. Well, you start with all these things. So once you get to like a place like Europe, for example. Europe is a place where you can always just take a bus to another country. It's just asking. It's like, oh, I'm gonna go to France, or I'm in Italy now. Let me just take this one to train. We'll do a day trip. So take advantages of familiar places with you at first. So if it's starting with a neighboring country, do that. If it's people you identify with, like you want to go to Jamaica or Trinidad, start with that first. And then the more you start doing that, the bug starts to really itch, and you're like, well, I really like what happened in Mexico. I really like what happened in Jamaica. I want to try Trinidad next time. I want to try, France next time. I want to try this next time. And that's how it really comes, because you start to become way more curious about many things, because your mind is open. You're like, wow, I didn't even realize that this was here. This is great. And the locals are telling you about other places, and you're just feeling like, well, I'm not gonna miss out. So go to neighboring countries, but action, execution is key. Yeah, don't be worried about how scared you are, because it'll be so much fun, when you get there. Because I enjoy actually getting lost in new places. First of all, I'm ready directionally challenged. I get lost anyway. but when I get lost, I get to interact with the locals.
Right.
You're like, hey,
I think that
yeah.
Right. So, I think that you brought up a good thing though in regards to the fear factor, because especially being here in America, the way they paint the picture of other countries, and you don't often see the good things about other cultures here on media in the US. It's always talking about the sex trade and and the big drug dealing stuff, and and people being taken hostage and all these things, which make you be like, I'm not leaving. the U.S. because, you know, so what do you say, you know, to people that really, that's the outlook that they have on it? Because, I mean, that's what they're seeing, you know, if they're not, you know, stuff like that.
First of all, yeah, no, I'll definitely say do your research. And that's one of my frustrations when I first started the media platform and the podcast and all that. It was because I got frustrated with that type of narrative. I mean, I came to school here as 17-year-old, and people thought I was. People always, everybody assumes I'm African American. I wear that all the time. I'm okay with that assumption. But when I tell them I'm Nigerian, they they start going back and forth. No, no way, no way, no way. You can't be Nigerian. What? No way.
Right.
And then they start saying, but you guys don't speak it. But you guys are supposed to live in hut. You guys are supposed to sleep with lions. I'm like, wait, what? What are you talking about? And they keep going back and forth. I thought you were supposed to sound this way. I thought you were supposed to look this way. I thought, you didn't even know what modern stuff was like that. And it's just simply not true. I mean, there's some truth to some of the stuff you see in the media, but there's always another side to another story. I mean, I've lived in 4 different continents, and I can tell you that it's not every other, continent has such a negative skew to it. It's just a matter of you doing research and interacting with locals, but you can't buy into the narrative unless you do it and you've been there. Because then that's what I like to call the Berlin Wall. You put up all these Berlin Walls because it's dividing your head, and you feel like your side is better than the other side, and you're like, I'm going to be safe. There's some areas that are unsafe, yes. Maybe if you travel in those countries, you look at the curfew and stuff like that, but that doesn't take away from the experience that you could have. So.
That is awesome. We have somebody trying to get in the seat.
But I don't know. It's an egg, so.
Oh, no eggs.
Sorry. Because I didn't see people get on here crazy. Y'all know my disclaimer. So, I have this disclaimer when I do the show. You can get in the seat, but don't come in the seat acting crazy or with no clothes on and stuff like that, because you will get kicked out, blocked, and prayed for. They're asking how to put a picture up. So what you need to do is go to your profile, your Blab profile, and then you go click on your graphic, and it'll let you upload a picture. So nothing personal.
Hey, Famira, that's a good rule to have.
Because I've been on Blabs in the chat and seen some of the crazy stuff happen when people let random people to the seat. I just can't do it.
Well, you guys, my tablet is about to cut off, and it is not letting me charge. It's saying that I'm overheating the tablet, so I am going to have to pop out. But it was such an honor to meet you, Teo. It was, first of all, I love your accent. I love that you're making a difference in the world with your differences. And I'm gonna have to start saying that a little bit more myself. And I can't wait to call my children what
third culture kids. Oh, you know what? You should listen to the podcast, and then they can because
I love it. I absolutely love it. So I can't wait to say it to them, because they're gonna think I'm being like, they're gonna be like, what is she calling it?
Hey, well, it's a pleasure to meet you. Sorry about the
I don't want it to hang up on you guys. That's like one of my pet peeves. Like, if you know your battery's dying or something, don't just talk to me until your phone hangs up. So I don't want to hang up on you guys. So I'm going to graciously just say thank you. I appreciate you taking your time to spend it with us. And I'm going to try to see if I can jump on from my telephone. But if I can't, I'll catch the replay, and I'm going to be checking out that Blab Tale.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Awesome. So, I know you. So, back to what we were talking about. I'm glad that we are talking about that, because for me, I'll be honest, especially as a woman and a single woman, that has kind of been my my hindrance on really fully embracing the whole, traveling and nomadic lifestyle, is because I'm like, going somewhere and going by myself, you know, it is having that fear step in and kind of takes over. So I will definitely, like you said, I'm going to be doing some of the things that you talked about, some, you know, places that I think I feel comfortable, you know, like some island type of things, maybe just do the tourist stuff at first, then slowly, you know, drift out into local culture, because that is something that I have been worried about.
Another thing you can do is, you know, they've got like, you got stuff like EF tours, people that do like tour guides. That you might feel safer that way, dude, because it's a set sort of plan and a new, and then like they pick maybe 3 countries and they'll show you all the best places. And you know, you look that up. That way, you know, you're safe. You've got a bunch of people who were doing it too. And I sent an episode that I did for us told by Nomad. She's a female traveler. She talked about, you know, being a female and you know, the fear of that and what she does. So she said,
all right, well, we're gonna try this. We're gonna see if Alan is acting right. Come on in, Alan. Let's see.
Can y'all hear me, see me, something?
We hear you, but we can't see you. I can't see you, but I can hear you. Did you have a question or want to get in on the topic?
No, I wanted to get on the topic with you guys. And just the FYI, I ain't crazy. I'm fully dressed. I'm at work, just sitting in my work truck on my lunch break, so you don't have nothing to worry about.
Awesome. I always
she was getting work.
Any of my other episodes, I give the same disclaimer on all the episodes.
So, I'm new to this, so I just joined that a couple of days ago. So I'm trying to get, like, I see y'all, but I'm trying to figure out how can I get my face up on here so that way y'all can see, you know, see me. But
yeah, I can't see you.
Yeah,
what are you using? Using your phone?
Yeah, I don't know.
The camera should have automatically activated. I don't know why. Why it's not.
Okay.
But welcome to your first blab. Yay.
Thank you. So I hear y'all was talking about traveling and stepping out stepping off the island to adventure to explore things.
Right.
So what's y'all take on it?
So what we're talking about is we have this interview here with Mr. Rockson, and he is a nomad and has a podcast in regards to the nomadic culture, in regards to people actually traveling and not necessarily having a zip code. Some people do it full time. Some people do it, you know, a certain percentage of the time and all of that. And so that's what we kind of been talking about, how you do that, incorporate it with your business, because most of the people that watch our show are entrepreneurs and are looking to build a lifestyle where they're able to travel and still run their businesses. So that's kind of what we're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah. I was saying that, you know, Famira said some of the things that she was worried about was the fear of, you know, what you see in the media and the stories. And, you know, I told her that, not everything in the media is actually true, because, you know, I'm Nigerian, you know, and you know, there's certainly negative things out there about Nigeria, but I come from there, and, you know, I definitely know, you know, what's up over there. But I told her she can start with places she's familiar with. You know, it could be another country that speaks English, like England. It could be a neighboring country like Canada or Mexico. She could go on tours, you know, like, because you've got some people to do tours throughout the year where it's like a 2-week thing, and that way you feel a little safer. Or you can go to the islands where you feel a little familiar. And that way, you know, you start to ease your way into the whole travel thing. So it's not too
I don't know. When I go to the islands, I stay on the resort. I don't do no venturing out. I seen too many movies.
What? You said, wait, what are you afraid of? What are you afraid of?
I don't know. I just prefer to stay on the islands, because, you know, when you go to different places, like, you might do things that you like, okay, I went to Jamaica not too long ago, a couple of years ago, and I ventured out or whatever, and we was with, some of the people that was at the resort, that worked at the resort, that seemed like they was cool people. They was like, hey, come out to a club, and certain things like the way you might dress, even though, you can, even though you can have on a plain white T-shirt, some regular shorts or something. To them, they like whenever we go to different islands, they already assume that we come over there that we got a bunch of money. And I'm not saying that's everywhere you go, but certain places you go, they automatically think that you got money. So sometimes you can, sometimes people do things to kind of like start something up with you. That's the people that's already over there. So I kind of, when I go to the islands, I kind of stay at the resort where I know, it's safe and I don't really have nothing too much. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, yes. I mean, you got to be careful. I mean, not everywhere is safe, but I'm just saying. That's why I told Famira earlier. You got to do research, because some places they'll tell you, it was good to go at this time, but if you go at this time, you're a foreigner. Pickpocket, or you might run into this. But you do the research, but it's a mixture of all that. But what I'm saying is, don't let that allow you. Because you can still have an experience. Yeah, I mean, I'm from some places at past 10 o'clock, you're not supposed to be in Nigeria. I mean, but that's not. It's all.
It's certain places in the U.S. you can't be at past 10 o'clock.
Yeah, you definitely right about that.
Exactly, it's the same. It's what I'm saying. You got places everywhere, so it's not like it's just like you've never experienced that before. I mean, you just gotta do a little research, ask people, talk about that. But
right,
yeah, be smart about it.
Well, thank you for joining us. Is your name Alan?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining us, Alan.
All right, thank y'all.
All right.
Pleasure, man.
So, one last thing before we start to wrap it up, because it's actually like only 15 minutes before the top of the hour. And so this conversation has just been so awesome, but I don't want to go without talking about the business aspect of it in regards to it. Because, a lot of times people see, people are traveling and they say they have these businesses, but how are they really making money when they're doing all this travel and lifestyle? Or, they simply see, he's talking about a podcast, but how are you truly like monetizing that? And I think that that's a piece for entrepreneurs that a lot of times they struggle with in regards to how do I really truly monetize my traveling lifestyle. So what are some suggestions that you may have for people that have that question?
Okay, yeah, no, so I talked to a lot of digital nomads. I'm not a digital nomad myself. I'm a nomad at heart because I've traveled all the time. But a lot of what they do, is, if it's a podcast business or a lifestyle business, it tends to be, they get money for sponsorship, advertising, stuff like that. Or they create this information, info product, whether it's with their blogs and they've got like, a 6 or something guide. And if you say you've got the group, if you turn that group into something where you're helping women all over the world, they could, a lot of times all they need to live off is like, I don't know, if you charge it like, I don't know, $59 or $90, maybe $99 or $100, and you get 5 people to buy it every month, that's $500. And, that becomes recurrent, income. And then you multiply the next month, it's $10. So a lot of times, a lot of these digital nomads, they have a product, they have an information with it. It's like how to travel, we could just create a course on how to travel safely as a woman, and you could be that woman that's living that. And then that becomes what people like you who are interested in traveling, but afraid of what's going to happen, they become like, oh, that's something I want to do. And then you start to build that following. You have a Facebook group, you've got maybe a podcast or a platform or a blog post or a newsletter. And that way you start to educate people. Then you start to guest post for like other publications that do travel. And then they pay you by the word. And then, it starts to become all these type of things. And then you build a business where it's a podcast here, it's a course here, it's you're getting ads on your website for the traffic here, you're doing freelance writing here, and then all of a sudden you have this type of thing where you're doing business. Other people have done businesses where they've created it. I don't know if you read 4 Hour Work Week, but it's by Tim Ferriss. And Tim Ferriss, you know, some people have been able to do it through like software type stuff where they built an app, and you know, once the app started selling, basically, you know, they were able to travel, and all they needed to do was put in 2 hours. I remember I was listening to a podcast where a guy created this Bible translation app, right? So it basically could translate across several languages, and essentially he was making money off of that every month. And, you know, Bible's the most popular book in the world. And this guy wasn't even a Christian. He just said, I wonder if maybe we want to read the Bible in these languages. And we started doing it, and then all of a sudden he started having all the, you know, like, I don't know, like weekly downloads for like $2.99, $3.99, and that was what it was. And that's how, you know, all you need to do was basically do the inventory, and he was traveling. So it's not a matter. It's you can set it up anywhere you want. It's very different though from like a typical 9 to 5. You just have to have like a purpose and a goal. You can't just travel and say, I'm just going to do this, unless you're like doing backpack and you want to just go throughout the year and explore, like eat, pray, love. That's fine. You got to save money for that, but that's fine. But if you have like a product and an info service, you say, hey, you know, this is what I'm doing, and you know, I'm going to be the voice for this, or I'm creating this app and I'm setting it up where it's a lifestyle that I only have to work 2 hours a week. I'm just going to use the other hours to travel, and those guys are the ones who can be nomad. So it's, you know, I don't want people to think that you can just travel the next day and the business is going to come. It's still the same thing. You got to come up with some idea of what your purpose is. You got to figure that out, and you got to see if it works. You know, test it out with your Facebook groups, test it out with Twitter, test it out with people, and it's like, hey, is this something you guys are interested in? I'm about to.
Well, that's what I was trying to allude to. So I'm glad you brought that up, because, you know, because I think that people think that they just think that, oh, I'm gonna, you know, be able to just start traveling tomorrow, and because these, you know, other people are successful. I think a lot of times people have, you know, outlandish thought processes behind this, how this actually works and stuff like that. You know, so for my coaches or speakers like that are like me, one of the things that I always bring up is the fact of, you know, having international clients, because that's also a way for you to be able to travel and be able to be, you know, wherever you want to be in regards to being able to have those sessions via Skype or, you know, via any type of video platform where you're not necessarily having to meet with them face to face. So if you can switch your service-based business to be virtual, that will allow you to be able to travel too, because then you can, you know, for me, I can coach from anywhere because all of my coaching clients, I coach them already via video from here in Virginia. So, and most of them are in other states. So, you know, if I'm in another country, as long as I can get some internet access, I could still hold those coaching sessions and stuff like that. So
you're set up.
I just have
you're
to
set up is what you said.
Start traveling. Right.
Do it. You just have to do it. You just have to
right. So I am
just do it.
looking at taking some small steps this year. I want to go to Canada, so I think that's one of my first stops.
Well, there you go.
So this has been a great conversation. Again, I thank you so much for joining us. Sorry that M.E had those technical difficulties, but that happens with traveling. She's on the road, actually she's from New Jersey, so she's on her way back to New Jersey today. So, but I want you to tell people how they can stay in contact with you and how they can get in on these podcasts that they've been hearing us talk about, because I want to make sure no one is missing all this goodness that you are putting out into the atmosphere.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for having me on. It's been a pleasure. I was sad that I wasn't able to talk to both of you for the duration of time, but I'm definitely a fan of what you guys are doing. My Twitter handle is @Rockson, TAYOROCKSON. You can easily find me there. You can go to tyrockson.com, or UYDmedia.com. And, you know, if you want to listen to my thoughts and the guest thoughts every week, I have As Told by Nomads, which is on iTunes or any other, you know, podcast player, and Hustle Culture. So check out the podcast, subscribe to them, As Told by Nomads. And
awesome.
Here you go.
Well, as always, I want to thank everyone for joining us. Okay, Jonah, you late. You're gonna have to catch the replay. But thank you for joining us on Business Blabbing with the Besties. I am Famira, the Diamond Diva, your visual impactologist. And you can always reach me, follow me on all social media at Diamond Diva FG. And you can reach out to M.E. Porter as well. She is on Twitter as SOULutions Sage. And at our e-real estate, my website is www.famira, as in fabulous, AMIRA, green, just like the color of cash.com. And M.E. is at MarylandEPorter.com as well. And so we look forward to seeing you next week. We will be joined by another guest on next week. I'm excited. We're going to be joined by the awesome Danielle Lewis of Danielle Lewis Beauty. She is a well-known makeup artist, celebrity makeup artist. And so we'll be talking to her. We'll be business blabbing with her on next week. So hope that you'll join us here, same time, same place. And until then, reach out to us. We're Biz with the Besties on all social media platforms, and let us know if you have questions or who you would like to see on the show. And you never know, we might have those people on the show as well. So until next time, see you all later.
All right.